On to our top story first. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Joseph Vijay has announced a major package of benefits for all 234 MLAs in the state. Under the new plan, every MLA will be provided a government vehicle for constituency-related travel, along with 75,000 rupees every month towards the driver, fuel and maintenance costs associated with that vehicle. And that's not all. MLAs will also get 25,000 rupees every month again to hire an office assistant or secretary, taking the total monthly allowance to 1 lakh rupees for every MLA. And that is across 234 legislators across Tamil Nadu. In fact, that works out to a whopping figure of 28 crore rupees every year for just these allowances alone. Now, the government says the move is aimed at helping legislators travel more frequently to their constituencies and respond to public grievances. The extra allowance is also being rolled out to encourage transparency, apparently, and root out corruption. But the announcement is already raising questions over the additional burden on the state exchequer and whether providing cars and allowances to all MLAs is in fact justified. Moving on, South India is emerging as a key hub in India's warehouse and logistics boom, with Chennai and Bengaluru among the country's established logistics markets. This even as Coimbatore is fast emerging as a regional logistics opportunity. Now, a new JLL report shows that companies outsourcing their warehousing, inventory management and delivery to specialist logistics providers have absorbed more than 110 million square feet of warehouse space across India since 2021, making them the largest occupier segment in the country's warehousing market. And this growth is changing the very nature of warehousing. In fact, logistics companies are moving beyond traditional godowns to larger grade A facilities that can in fact support automation, technology and faster operations. Now, Chennai and Bengaluru are benefiting from strong manufacturing, electronics, automotive and e-commerce activity, while demand is also spreading to tier 2 cities like Coimbatore. So what does this logistics boom mean for South India's real estate market? Joining us now to make sense of all of this is Yogesh Shevade, Managing Director of Industrial and Logistics for India at JLL. Yogesh, firstly, thank you so much for joining us in South Central today. Now, your report shows that 3PL players have absorbed more than 110 million square feet of warehousing space over the last 5 years. What is driving this extraordinary demand and how sustainable is growth from here?
Thanks, Jude, for having me on your show. What we have seen is infrastructure upgrades and national logistics policy has played a key role in making logistics as one of the growth sector for real estate. Government policies, especially on reforms such as GST, has helped rethink of supply chain by a lot of, I would say, occupiers. So more hub and spoke kind of models are coming thanks to infrastructure upgrades by government and policy initiatives. We are seeing more and more occupiers, tenants are preferring to lease the spaces. Earlier focus was to build on their own, but this infrastructure upgrade has been again augmented by large private equity players coming and investing into building these specialized industrial and logistics hubs, catering to the diverse demand from automobile sector, e-commerce sector, and consumption-led manufacturing, consumption-led sectors, which is driving the demand for warehousing across India. And especially what we have seen in the case of South India, Bangalore, which is a large, I would say, ecosystem for startups, office ecosystem, is driving a lot of consumption. Chennai, again, one of the largest manufacturing ecosystem in South India, largely focusing on automobile and electronics manufacturing, again driving a lot of distribution and consumption-led demand.
Right. So, Yogesh, let's talk about these two South Indian cities that you mentioned and the report makes ample mention of as well. Chennai and Bengaluru, already established logistics markets. What exactly are you seeing on the ground beyond the sectors that these cities are known for in terms of warehousing demand, rentals and expansion by logistics companies? Are there big deals happening? And if yes, what are they like at this time and place?
Yeah, definitely. I will start with Chennai. What we have seen in terms of Chennai, apart from traditional automobile companies which were established in Chennai, We are seeing electronics manufacturing ecosystem is picking up big time, thanks to government policies as well as infrastructure that is being developed there. So a lot of inbound logistics, which is essential for manufacturing, as well as outbound logistics, which is a finished product distribution, is driving demand in Chennai. The hubs like Oragadam and Sri Perumbadur are primarily focusing on manufacturing ecosystem, whereas the corridors like Punamalli, Avadi, they are mid-mile, closer to city kind of a logistics hub. We are also seeing good traction on GST road, the road that is going towards the southern part of India. Again, picking up big time on manufacturing automobile ecosystem. So we are seeing growth all around Chennai city because of demand from automobile engineering, as well as consumption-led demand we are seeing in areas like Red Hills, which is predominantly FMCG and consumption-led distribution. If you come to Bangalore as a city, what we have seen is historically Hoskote Malur has been the 3PL dominated hub, where large distribution demands from warehousing standpoint is active. If you come towards Dubaspet and Dubaspet side of the market, we have seen more of a manufacturing, Dubaspet, Mysore Road, more of a manufacturing companies active and taking spaces there.
Right. But Yogesh, the fact is that a name like Coimbatore has been a bit of a surprise package, at least for someone like me who isn't exactly well versed as far as, the 3PL sector is concerned. Do you think we could see more logistics activity in a tier 2 market like this, and perhaps more movement or a shift from bigger metros into smaller cities like Coimbatore doing so well on the logistics front?
I think this is an interesting trend we have also picked up. We are seeing there is a good amount of traction on consumption side from tier 2 cities like Coimbatore, which are historically as manufacturing as a base, but now growing on a logistics side, with thanks to, I would say, emerging markets where aspiring youths are contributing to consumption, as well as increased income levels. What we are seeing is more and more retail demand is picking up in these emerging cities like Coimbatore, Trichy, and that's where e-commerce companies, FMCG companies, as well as logistics companies are expanding their network so that they can cater to these increasing demand from these tier 2 cities. So I believe the story is picking up from tier 1 cities to tier 2 cities rapidly, not only in South India, but across India, we are seeing this trend.
Right. Yogesh, one interesting statistic that I picked up from your report is that average warehousing transaction sizes have grown 25% in 4 years. So are logistics companies now looking to consolidate their networks into fewer, much larger facilities? And what does that mean really for the real estate market, especially around these two hubs of Chennai and Bengaluru?
Yeah, so what we have seen is thanks to reforms like GST, the supply chain models have evolved into hub and spoke kind of a model, where now you can have a large hubs and then distribute to the consumption-led cities by having the spokes. And that has essentially increased the sizes at mother hubs. So we have seen the transaction sizes have increased from 100,000 square feet to 125,000 square feet at key locations, distribution locations. We call them hubs. And then we are again seeing smaller hubs closer to city or closer to consumption, where they are used for distributing to the city. So what that means is more and more players are coming to invest into warehousing and logistics as an asset class. We are seeing all large private equity funds likes of Blackstone, Brookfield, Ascendas, Prologis. They have entered India and they're investing heavily into creating these modern industrial and logistic parks at key locations. And they are and what we have seen is they are committing more and more capital to build larger ecosystems, logistics industry.
Absolutely. Well, Yogesh, lots of action to look forward to then in the 3PL space, more so in South India around Chennai, Bengaluru and Coimbatore. So on that note, thank you so much for joining us on South Central and breaking down some of these findings for us on the show today.
Thank you, Jude, for having me.
Moving on,
Thank
the
you.
Indian arm of Korean conglomerate Lotte has clarified its position on the recall of a specific batch of its popular Choco Pie after food safety authorities in Chhattisgarh flagged the product over concerns over preservative levels. Now, FDA officials in Chhattisgarh had ordered a halt to the sale, storage and distribution of this batch of Choco Pie following laboratory testing. Now, the Chennai-headquartered Lotte India said it subsequently got the same batch that is independently tested at an NABL-accredited laboratory within the city, which, according to the company, found the preservative levels well within permissible limits. Now, the company has emphasized that it voluntarily recalled only the affected batch as a precaution and that there is no blanket ban per se on Lotte Choco Pie as a product in its entirety. Moving on, Andhra Pradesh IT and HRD Minister Nara Lokesh has defended the state's plans for data centers in Visakhapatnam amid concerns over their water consumption and environmental impact. Responding in the assembly, Lokesh said that the proposed 6.5 gigawatt data center ecosystem in Vizag could require around 3,000 million cubic feet of water a year with current technology, but newer cooling systems could in fact reduce this consumption. He said that water would come from the industrial allocation of the Pollavaram project and would not affect Vizag's drinking water supply. Let's listen to what the minister had to say in the assembly.
సిటీకి కావాల్సిన నీరు మొత్తం పోలవరం ద్వారా మేము అందిస్తున్నాం. దట్ ఈస్ ఎన్డీఏ గవర్నమెంట్ కమిట్మెంట్. అంటే ఎలాంటి సందేహం లేదు. ఇట్ ఈస్ అ మ్యాటర్ ఆఫ్ అనదర్ 18 months తప్పనిసరిగా గ్రావిటీ ద్వారా నీరు అందిస్తాం. ప్రత్యేకంగా డేటా సెంటర్స్కి వచ్చే గల డెడికేటెడ్ పైప్ లైన్స్ ద్వారా వాళ్ళకి నీరు అందిస్తున్నాం తప్ప సిటీ ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ సిటీ నుంచి పైప్ లైన్స్ తీసుకుని సామాన్యులకి వెళ్లాల్సిన నీరుని మేము ఎక్కడ డైవర్ట్ చేయట్లేదు. దయచేసి ఇది గమనించాల్సిన అవసరం.
Moving on, but staying with tech, a Bengaluru-based AI startup is looking to change the way businesses store, transmit and use the massive amounts of video generated by CCTV cameras. K-Graph AI Solutions, a startup that prefers calling itself Blue, has launched what it calls the world's first semantic video codec. That's a technology that it says can reduce bandwidth consumption by up to 90% and storage costs by up to 10 times. Now, unlike traditional video compression, which is largely designed to make video files smaller, Blue's technology storage looks at what is happening in the footage and preserves that information in a form that can be searched and analyzed. Now, that could particularly be significant, especially for factories, warehouses, retail stores and other businesses that operate thousands of cameras and generate huge volumes of footage every single day. Now, Blue says its technology can focus on the information that machines need rather than constantly transmitting everything captured by these cameras. The company believes this could not only bring down the cost of enterprise AI infrastructure, but also turn existing CCTV networks into a much richer source of searchable business intelligence. And all this without requiring companies to replace their existing CCTV cameras. So taking us through this is Kunal Kisle, CEO at K-Graph AI Solutions. Kunal, thanks for joining us in South Central. In very simple terms, what is a semantic video codec? Break it down for our viewers, if you will. And how is it fundamentally different from the video compression technology we use today?
Sure. Thanks for having me here. I think, kind of primarily the word codec is just a short form for compression, decompression. Videos are fundamentally very large, and kind of knowingly, unknowingly, we all use codecs on our, on our devices, be it CCTV storage, be it our mobile phones, etc. The codec, the way the compression actually works, currently does not take into account understanding of what's actually happening, and hence it persists or continues to have that information, which are ultimately redundant to both human and machine eyes. What we've done is, created a codec that basically, understands what's actually happening, and, uses that to do the compression, right? So, for example, if you'd look at an empty hallway, majority of the time, pretty much, there's nothing actually happening. Conventional codecs would continue to, store and, communicate that information. But a semantic codec would know that there's nothing actually happening here. Why do I even, need to store that information or persist that information? So it's basically like a book where with duplicate chapters. Our codec basically removes those duplicate chapters and gives you the final version of it.
Absolutely. Only what matters. That's the big takeaway here.
Exactly.
But you say the tech can in fact cut bandwidth consumption by 90% and storage costs by up to 10 times. So let me ask you, what is the tech actually removing from the video to achieve these savings?
Repetitive information. I think, in a very simple term, repetitive information. Today's, particularly if you're looking at surveillance videos, right? So CCTV footages, surveillance videos, probably a couple of decades old. And, the codecs that are currently used on those videos like H.264 and 265 are equally old. They were not built for, CCTV kind of videos. So what we essentially take out is, all the repetitive, redundant information, without which you would still see the video in its, original shape and, quality.
Right. But let me ask you then, how does Blue get to decide what information is important and what can actually be discarded without losing something that could well become relevant later on? Is that a bit of a quandary that you deal with? How is that foolproof in this tech?
I think you're spot on here. What's relevant today might not be relevant tomorrow. Blue does not decide what is relevant or what is not. What it decides is, what is redundant, what is repetitive. And can I, represent the same information in a more, in a better way and a more efficient way. So it does not decide that, the people are more important than the background of trees. It just, tries to be more efficient in the way that final information is actually rendered. So it's actually future-proof. You might come back 6 months down the line and want to analyze the footage for things that you originally, overlooked. You could still do that. You could still do that.
Right, absolutely. Now, for large enterprises, Kunal, with thousands of existing cameras, how difficult is it to go about deploying Blue? Does the company have to change any of its existing surveillance infrastructure? I believe cameras don't need to be changed in many ways, right? Help us understand this.
Absolutely not. Right. So, it was built with that understanding that you shouldn't really have to change your cameras. You should be able to enhance what you could do with those cameras, the understanding that you could potentially generate with those cameras.
Right. And what is the business model at this time in place, Kunal? Are you charging enterprises for the codec itself, for the infra savings, or through a software subscription of sorts? And what kind of customers are already testing the technology as on date?
We are primarily a software company, and our charging model is very, very simple. This is a platform that lets you, understand, what's happening in the videos. So our charging is a subscription on the number of cameras that you have added to the platform. It's as simple as that. The deployments that we have currently today is, across different verticals. We have deployments on the warehouse side, on the manufacturing side. Quick service restaurants are amongst our first adopters in terms of enhancing their customer experience, cleanliness, etc. We're also deployed at the petroleum retail outlets, petrol gas stations, basically.
Right. Well, it's the next big fascinating application of AI. That's all I can say, given that a lot of redundancies within CCTV footage could now well be on their way to elimination. But Kunal, on that note, thank you so much for joining us and breaking down how Blue works. Pleasure speaking with you right here on
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Moving on, junior doctors across Andhra Pradesh have intensified their 8-day strike, now boycotting emergency services, ICUs and operation theatres. Now, the agitation is affecting government hospitals in Visakhapatnam, Vijayawada, Guntur, Kakinada, Kurnool, Tirupati and Kadapa. The doctors are demanding a 30% hike in stipends, among other issues, while hospital administrations have deployed senior doctors now and other staff as well to manage critical services across affected hospitals. And speaking of health itself, Tamil Nadu is bringing in a new health insurance scheme, and it could cover nearly 38 lakh elderly residents. Now, the state government has announced the Chief Minister's Elderly Health Insurance Scheme, offering free cashless medical treatment to people aged 70 and above. And here's the big point: there will be no income ceiling for eligibility. The scheme will cover advanced treatments, including chronic diseases, cardiac procedures and organ transplant surgeries at either government or empaneled private hospitals. Now, for high-end procedures like transplants or cochlear implants, officials say funding could go up to 23 lakh rupees from a special corpus. But why is Tamil Nadu doing this now? You see, because the state is aging rapidly. Today, nearly 16 out of every 100 residents are aged 60 and above. By 2036, that could rise to more than 1 in every 5 individuals living in Tamil Nadu. So that means healthcare costs for senior citizens are going to become a much bigger issue. So this is not just another insurance scheme in many ways. Tamil Nadu is in fact preparing for a demographic shift that is already underway. Moving on, Telangana has published its draft electoral rolls after the Special Intensive Revision or SIR rollout, with more than 73 lakh voters left out at this stage and another 93 lakh plus electors potentially facing notices over discrepancies or unmapped records. The exercise is also seeing significant numbers emerge in neighbouring Karnataka. Around 80.4% of Karnataka's 5.5 crore plus voters are expected to remain on the draft rolls, while nearly 1.08 crore could be left out. The claims and objections process will now give voters in both states an opportunity to verify their details and challenge omissions before the rolls are in fact finalized. And with that, it's a wrap on the bulletin today. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow with more news and updates from South India. But for the moment, it's goodbye from us.